Hey everyone, I'm your host Cadence, and welcome back to another episode of Project Honesty, a podcast designed for young adults, by a young adult, to gain brutally honest, friend-like advice, as well as provide a platform for young adults to form opinions, color outside of the lines, take deep dives into current events, and most importantly, have fun. This is Project Honesty, navigating reality with real conversations and diverse opinions. Hey, I'm so happy to have you all back with me for episode 24 of Project Honesty. Now, if you haven't already, go listen to last week's episode called Pain to Power, the lessons we learned from negative experiences. In that episode, I discussed the problems with surrounding yourself in a toxic environment, how to clarify your social environment, and the benefits of finding opportunity in hard times. Like always, that is available on Spotify and YouTube. And if you are not already on the Instagram, which you should definitely go follow, Project_Honesty24, you would not know today's topic. Today's topic is something very near and dear to my heart, and it's about spirituality. To preface this, the word spirituality has many different definitions for people, whether that's religion, traditional routines and practices, or connecting with the earth and nature. Today is more about how I define spirituality and what spirituality is for me. I'm also going to talk about my journey to finding and creating my definition of spirituality, where I started, how my spirituality has helped me overcome mental obstacles, and how it has made me stronger and more confident. And then at the end, I'll just talk about how I incorporate my spirituality into my everyday life. Spirituality has been something I've had to find. Now, I've dabbled in different religions, like one of them is Christianity, but I never really felt a connection or alignment with those values. And I am someone whose parents aren't religious. We didn't practice religion. And so I never really had a home base for what my definition of spirituality was. Now, I've talked a little bit about spirituality on this podcast, but I never really went into specifics. In True Beauty Talk, I discuss how beauty standards impacted my self-image, and I talked about how therapy didn't work for me, like traditional Western therapy. But then I saw a psychic, and I felt like everything clicked. The first time I saw a psychic was when I was around 12. 12-year-old me was in a very dark place in my life. I had no passion, shattered self-confidence, and I felt like I didn't have a place of belonging on earth. My mom knew I was struggling. She could feel it, she could see it, and she was desperate for a way to help me. So she brought me to this psychic, or spiritual doula, as she calls herself. And I immediately noticed that unlike therapy, the space was unstructured, welcoming, and very intimate. The room had these cushions on the ground, there was crystals and salt lamps everywhere, and the space was centered around this giant clear quartz crystal. And when I say big, I mean very, very big, very expensive, and very heavy. And so overall, meeting this psychic, it was very welcoming and warm, and I immediately felt comfortable. The session kind of consisted of hypnosis. The doula said that she wanted to open my third eye to reveal my reality to me, but also protect me at the same time. In the middle of this session, I vividly remember one of the questions she asked me. She said, quote, "Do you love and appreciate yourself and your body?" My response, no. That was the first time I really and truly admitted to myself the truth about how I saw me. I was honest with myself, and I admitted that I didn't love myself. Looking back on it now, that was one of the biggest steps in my journey to self-love, and that showed me that honesty is important. I needed to admit the fact that I didn't love myself for me to realize that I wanted to go through this hard journey of self-love. After that first session, I fell in love with spiritual healing. I attended more sessions with the same doula, some of these being like group sessions. So we would discuss self-love and we practiced witchcraft, which also turned out to be another love of mine. And these group sessions were very, very fun and open. It was full of women with incredible spirit and incredible energy, and it was very much a safe space to be in. Now, I just said the word witchcraft, and witchcraft and spiritual practices are a big part of what spirituality is to me. To get some of the stereotypes out of the way, witches are painted in bad light in media, and throughout history, they're thought of as evil, like a proved notion in the Salem witch trials when they all got burned, but it wasn't actually witches, it was just women who were different. And they're seen as these ugly, unfitting people. But in actuality, it's totally different. The spiritual practices of witchcraft, which you may have also heard them referred to as Wicca, are centered around using nature as your teacher and your tool. It's about finding your truest form when surrounded by nature and natural gifts. One of the biggest reasons I fell in love with the spiritual side of healing and the emotional side of healing is that spiritual healing and witchcraft is surrounded and ruled by women. Women are powerful beings. They are the leaders. They are the creators and the keepers. There's the socially accepted idea that God is a man, and that idea has never sat right with me. It's not that I don't agree that there's a God, because there definitely is, but for the longest time, I could never wrap my head around that figure being a male. In many religions, women are known as just the creators, but not necessarily the leaders. And I find in more natural-based spiritual practices, women are more deeply appreciated. So in Turtle Island Talks episode, part 4, which feels like eons ago, I talk about Indigenous culture and how they value women as leaders and protectors of the water, for example. And so I found that when a religion was connected to nature, there was a greater appreciation for females being and ruling that space. Why is nature important to my spirituality? When I started practicing Wicca and I started really using nature as a tool, I felt so in tune with nature and the things that happened around me. And I developed greater appreciation for the earth and her gifts beyond anything I have ever experienced. Now, that's why I want to go hiking and I want to go backpacking, and why when I get to have those experiences, I feel so at peace and at home. In a way, nature has almost become like a salvation for me. Any part of nature has so many gifts to offer. And one of my favorite gifts from Mother Nature that I love the most is crystals. When I started working with my spiritual doula, she started introducing me into crystals. Now, I didn't really know this beforehand, but crystals hold so much power. And yes, I'm not an idiot. I'm aware that they can't cure real-life conditions, but the purpose of crystals is to serve as a token of meaning and hope and symbolism, similar to other religious items like a cross. And crystals are used a lot in witchcraft and spiritual practices, and I fell in love with their beauty and the symbolism that some of them have. The first crystal that was ever gifted to me by this spiritual healer was a stone called malachite. There will be pictures and explanations of what malachite is and other crystals that I mention on here on Instagram, project_honesty24. Malachite is known as a high vibrational stone. It symbolizes transformation, and that's partially why this healer gave me it, because it has transformative energies, it guards the heart, and it offers protection from negative energies and electromagnetic pollution. Now you might be wondering, what is electromagnetic pollution? Well, that is just the low vibrations that enter your life that pollute your positive high vibrational space. And I have a lot of malachite in my house just because I love its properties so much. And again, these pieces will be pictured on Instagram. Another crystal that I love so much is selenite. Selenite is a very popular crystal. It's named after the Greek goddess of the moon, Selene. It is so powerful, and it is believed that it holds enough power to possess cleansing and charging properties for other stones. That's why there is selenite bowls and charging plates made of selenite, because it is such a powerful stone. Again, there will be pictures of my selenite bowl and plate on the Instagram. But selenite is a very clarifying stone. It directs high frequency energy into the body, which then leads to stronger spiritual connection, growth, and mental clarity. one of my favorite crystals that I definitely want to talk about on here is rose quartz. It's another popular one. It's a very feminine stone. It's full of feminine energy. It's very beautiful. And rose quartz symbolizes strength and inner peace. It symbolizes self-love, which is a big thing I needed during my journey to spirituality. And it promotes deep inner healing. When you have a piece of rose quartz, it reminds you to practice positive self-affirmation and find trust in harmony. Rose quartz also has a property where it replaces negative vibes with loving vibes. So rose quartz comes with a lot of love, not only for self, but for those in your environment. Crystals aren't the only tool I use to practice my spirituality. I have learned how to use tarot cards as a way to give myself reason to my circumstances. Reading tarot, I read French tarot, even though I don't speak French, but I've learned how to read French tarot because the cards that were gifted to me were in French. So I've learned how to read tarot and set it up in a way that it can give me messages from the universe and from Earth that are supposed to be received by me. I also use incense. I don't use them a lot anymore because when you burn them in the basement, there's not a lot of ventilation for them to go anywhere, and so you end up setting off the fire alarm. But I used to use them a lot when I lived in a more ventilated room. But they're a great way of cleansing not only my space, but my crystals in my space. I also have and carry a Nazar, which is also more commonly known as the evil eye. I carry this form of protection to protect myself from very harmful energies. Nazars are known to break when they are full of negative energy, and so I always carry one with me just in case. I have one on my keys, I have one on a necklace, I have one everywhere. And I have one at the start of my door because the traditional way to use a Nazar is that you put it at eye level at the door or the space that you're in the most, and it will watch what people and what energy come into your home. So I have one at my bedroom door because I have a lot of people over, and it really guards and protects my space from harmful things that would get in my way. Another thing that I have that is actually a really fun spiritual tool that I'm still getting used to and haven't gotten used to over the last couple of years is a Tibetan singing bowl. You play them to release strong, powerful, cleansing vibrations. I actually have one that I can play, and it's so fun to play. It's such a beautiful sound, but then also it just releases so many good vibes in my space. And so that is another tool that I love. One of the biggest spiritual tools that I use and appreciate the most is water. Being with it and in it, consuming it, and using it as a cleansing tool, and appreciating the abundance of water that we have and powerful bodies of water. That's why I love, say, when I visited the Great Lakes one year, and you just see how powerful the waves are and how enveloping they are, and the beauty of the power that they carry. It is incredible. And then when I went on my recent backpacking trip, we hiked to a lake. We got to swim in the lake, and it was so beautiful. It was freezing, but it was just so beautiful to immerse myself in that fresh, clean, cleansing environment. Spirituality comes with many different definitions. All are beautiful, all are sacred, and all have meaning and place on this earth. Spirituality and nature really go hand in hand for me. My journey to spirituality and belonging has given me so many gifts. I feel so at home in nature, and it has led me to a path of opportunity and love, as well as appreciating and loving myself and the gifts that I have. So I want to leave you with a couple questions. What is your spirituality? How do you practice it? And what keeps you going? Why do you do it? Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Project Honesty. You can find Project Honesty on Spotify at Project Honesty or on YouTube at Project_Honesty. And to keep up to date with new episodes, you can head over to Project Honesty's Instagram, which is at Project_Honesty24. We also have a TikTok, which is at Project.Honesty. And to help spread this podcast everywhere, tell a friend or share with family about Project Honesty. You can also share and tag us us and things on social media, and you can direct your friends and family over to the Instagram, the TikTok, the Spotify, or the YouTube to help them learn more. Subscribe, follow, and click the bell icon for updates when I post, and remember, the more listeners, the bigger the family.